I think it's time to blow this thing. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Good morning. It is Sunday, the 5th of December. This is Chris's Comic Corner. I keep calling it Chris's I need to change the name because I don't make solo videos anymore. I'm only talking to my friends. And my friends are, of course, as always, the great Allery. Oh, don't make me all big like I'm more important. Allery. Allery,
This
what's
was my
up?
favorite intro ever. Just so you know.
Good. Yeah, I don't make videos anymore. Like, I don't know. I just need to change it. We need to collectively come up with a name. You get first to have
I
that.
suggested one, you shot it down, so
What was it?
I can't say it on the line.
Okay. It's the holidays. I get it. As always, again, our resident Sour Patch Kid. First she's sour, then she's sweet. Laura Albers.
Did Allery just say on the line instead of online?
On the live.
I thought you said on the line. I was like, okay. We're off to a great start, y'all.
Absolutely. And of course, our newcomer, but our new official, new regular, if you would. My main man, Brian. Brian, what's up?
What's going on? Good morning, ladies.
Hello.
Ladies. What have we missed? I mean, it's been like a couple months since we've been on. What have we missed? Have we missed anything noteworthy? Anything of value? Anything bearing repeated on the Facebook or Meta property?
Oh boy.
Don't get me started with that stuff. We're just all really fucking boring.
I am really fucking boring.
Dude.
The only thing I have to say is that I did my previous record for most watched horror movies in the month of October. So
nice.
It was 163 last year. I did 175 this year, and that is not including series. Series count as one.
You cranked out what, 2.5 a day?
Almost. Sometimes 3.
Dude, that is insane.
It's a little bit easier with older horror movies because they tend to be only like an hour.
Right, I feel that.
So,
did you catch any new horror movies that have made the regular list of October views? Anything new in the repertoire?
I think everything was pretty up to date as of recent. There was nothing that I really added that was new to it. I do have some high expectations for next year, but there's been a lot of rumblings going on for different previews coming out. Scream will definitely be one of those that will possibly add it to the list.
The trailer looked so good.
Yeah,
yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I've been hearing people that have test screened it says it's I don't want to say it's like the original because obviously it's not, but it gave the same feeling as the original, and that's good news.
Rekindle those feelings for me. Last night dropped the Netflix version of the upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre that comes out in February.
Ooh.
That dropped on YouTube last night. And it was, it looked a little teeny boppy at times, but I did see at the very end that the credit roll, Tobe Hooper is attached to it. Original.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy.
So I would like to think high expectations. If Netflix can, that'd be a thing, Netflix has everything, but if they can get, all these reboots or rehashes or reconnectings of these, slashers of yesteryear, I mean, I'd be down. Plus, I don't have to pay for them.
I mean, you look at the way that, like, they did like Altered Carbon, right? Or they did, there's several different series that Netflix has done that have been very good. And so if they just, horror always goes through these cycles with the zeitgeist of the people, right? It kind of like goes out of like favor for a little bit, or it just gets way too gory and it just becomes a competition and people lose interest. But all it takes is that one director to kind of like reinsert that like psychological and like deep fear to like reignite it again. And that's sort of like what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for some director to just come out and be like, here's a movie like Seven. Here's a movie like like an original Nightmare on Elm Street. Here's a movie like...
Boy, you ought to be teaching classes. Look at you, zeitgeist and all this.
That's, yeah, don't let the big words fool you.
I'm telling you. Hey, bub, what's up, sis? Thanks for joining. Okay, so nothing says Christmas like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, obviously, but it is December. Before we get into this whole month, I've seen a lot of things that I really loved. I've read and seen some things I really hated. But I'd love to. I think that if we would think maybe this week we'll tackle favorite books, next week movies or TV, vice versa, flip the weeks. We'll have a little break there. I think that next Saturday after that is, in fact, the day after Christmas. I don't know if anybody goes and takes gifts back or burns up gift cards the day after I said Thanksgiving twice. Day after Christmas.
I'm invited to my ex-girlfriend's wedding reception that day. Or my sister's ex-girlfriend's. I don't have an ex-girlfriend, but my sister's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, the show is about to turn into that real quick.
Yeah, this just got complicated.
Yeah, no. Me and my husband are going to my ex-girlfriend's wedding reception, so it's going to be a shit show. We weren't invited.
Okay. I mean, this sounds like a Tinder ad.
I would I'd love to do the hey, let's knock out the books that we loved, that we read this last year. Next week, let's hit up the television shows. Week after that, let's hit films. Save it till after Christmas, all the love and joys out of our hearts after that day. Then hit the stuff that we absolutely hated. But of course, I don't want to do things that we hated, because we can find any terrible Netflix movie or the worst of. Let's find I'd like to go with disappointing, things that you were mad hyped for and really let you down. But falling in line with, hey, what we're talking about horror movies. Has anybody watched or read anything within the last week that you got to talk about, that the two people should know about?
In the last week?
Yeah, a week or so. Anything that's like absolutely like, hey, go ahead and write home about this.
I don't remember what I've done this week. It's been a long, stressful week.
I've been watching anime this week.
Ooh, what you been watching?
I've been watching Psyche K.
What is it?
Psyche K.
I'm not sure about that
It's
one.
just like a slice of life. It's so funny and like I love it. And then I started a volleyball one after that. It's called
I know what you're talking
3,
about.
4, 1, 2, 4, 1, something like that. It's just numbers. I think 2, 4, 3 actually.
I'm not a big slice of lifer, but I do the one that I did watch. I don't think it's really slice of life. Man, it was this dude that was an ice skater. God damn it! I know you or Brian know the name of it. Oh man, he's an ice skater and he loves pork cutlet. But that's all you needed for that show. And it was good.
Yeah.
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Brian.
No, so Psyche K is a slice of life, but he also has like incredible like psychic powers. And so it's just him trying to like navigate high school without people finding out that he has these powers. And so I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Speaking of navigating through high school and powers, last night,
No way.
the trailer for the new Miles Morales Spider-Verse movie dropped last night. Myself and my 10 days past 10-year-old. She had a birthday since we've been gone. She's 10 now, but we watched it and we were mad hyped for it. And they did say that it is part 1. So, I mean, hey, I think we're going to see that trend, especially with Dune. Obviously, Dune's the obvious one because it's such a big book. It's such a big story. But you're going to see these publishing companies start breaking these movies up in parts, start recouping some of that box office loss over the last
So I was
year or so.
I was not aware that the new Dune, which I'm going to watch today, was 3 hours of only half of the first book.
Jesus. I don't know anything about Dune other than it's Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah. And Zendaya.
So like
Zendaya might as well not be in the movie.
that to me is
But I'm not watching it.
Like she's not in it for very long.
Like she's there for like 10 minutes. She's just like
That's
looking
enough
off.
for me. That's all I need.
Count me out.
Sold.
Yeah. She's there. I'm good. I'm in.
But yeah, I totally did not realize that. It was explained to me last night over some drinks and some bangers and mash at this Irish pub. But it was I was kind of surprised. But I mean, I haven't seen any like negative feedback about the film, so I'm definitely interested to see like how that second part plays out. I mean, they kind of like did the same thing with it. You know, they made that a 2-part series, and they did it both times. So, and I thought that the remake or the re-envisioning of it was very good.
Oh yeah, I thoroughly and I don't want to get into this can of worms. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Bill Hader killed it in that last one.
Oh yeah,
Bill
Where's-
Hader has my
where's his-
entire heart. I
Yeah,
love
where's his
him.
Oscar
I love
nom?
Bill Hader.
I
Yeah.
love Bill Hader. Have you watched Barry on HBO, his series?
Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's so good.
Honestly, I love Henry Winkler in it.
Yes.
Hell, what was I going to say? But yeah, these part movies. No, I did enjoy the new It, and yes, I love Bill Hader. Didn't care for the clown shame killing at the end, but that's we've discussed that before. I don't want to get into that. I have watched. Allery brought up Some Animes. I did watch, and I absolutely love it. I don't want to give it away because I'm still tiptoeing on the line. If it's one of my favorite shows of the year so far, it's so cheeky and it's so stupid, but it's so fun. The Way of the House Husband.
Tim
It's on
has
Netflix.
watched the whole thing.
It is so
I watched
damn
like
good.
3 seconds and I was like,
It is so good. Absolutely love it. And I was on. We came and visited family for Thanksgiving. We drove back 16 hours that Sunday. I was on 24-hour duty the very next day on Monday. I had to stay awake, and I put on the 8-hour. It's in 3 parts. It's like 8 or 8.5 hours. The Peter Jackson, The Beatles Get Back documentary. And this is coming from a guy who doesn't give a shit about the Beatles. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was beautiful. And it changes everything you thought of the Beatles and the Beatles breakup, because this documentary takes place during their creation of their last album and the last time they ever filmed or they ever recorded together, and the iconic rooftop concert, their final live performance of ever. And they had like 150 hours of footage. It was just all locked in a vault for like 50 years. And this documentary changes what's everyone's stigma about the Beatles. Oh, Yoko broke them up, right?
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, I watched that. Yoko didn't break the fucking Beatles up. That girl, that poor woman just got a bum rap for loving John Lennon too much.
right.
I was gonna
That's
say
it.
you made an awfully bold assumption because I am not on the Yono did it camp.
Thank you. She's just she was the 70s and she was a crazy screamo kind of chick back then, and John Lennon was fucking digging it, you know? And there was a beautiful line in it because they have footage in there that no one knew existed. They have the footage of like George Harrison actually leaving the Beatles. Like they had the cameras bugged and like they were talking like private conversations about the band breaking up and things like that. And there was and it was the reason I thought it was so beautiful was because like they're recording songs, they're just ripping songs and they're classics and no one gives a shit. Like Ringo Starr's asleep back there behind the drums and George Harrison's like it's 3 a.m. he's smoking a cigarette and there's Paul McCartney just doing riffs of Let It Be for the first time ever. Like, what are you guys doing? Or like, Hey Jude. You're like, what are you doing? This is amazing. This is like one of the greatest songs of all time. They're just like, we're doing it again. like they just don't give a shit. But you know, caught in the moment. But like to see Paul McCartney on a guitar, John Lennon just opposite of him, and how those two just like the mutual friendship and love they had for each other was beautiful. And the way they just effortlessly ripped songs was crazy. And like I said, they actually had footage of George Harrison leaving the Beatles. And then they come back Monday to record and George Harrison isn't there. And they have this meeting that weekend trying to bring him back and he says no. And then John Lennon doesn't show. And you have this scene where Paul McCartney's sitting in the chair and he's talking to Ringo Starr and he's like, hey man, he's like, I can't make John Lennon choose the Beatles or love because he's going to choose love and it's the right thing to do. And he's just like sitting there like, damn man, John Lennon was the fucking G back in the day. Like all that crazy hippie bullshit he would spout on the guitar about love. Like he was about it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. But Way of the House Husband. So funny. Former Yakuza boss turned house husband. Love it.
I don't know if you saw these are two they're kind of old, but they're definitely classics is Pie Brain and Mirai Nakai, it's called The Future Diary. I think Alori would like The Future
Tim
Diary.
loves Future Diary, but I haven't. He's been telling me to watch it, but I haven't watched it.
It's very good. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
And our agenda for today is if my kid's not an absolute turd, we're going to finish up Cowboy Bebop on Netflix.
Nice.
And I've been very hesitant about starting Hawkeye because I've seen just the utter how terrible Disney has been about just taking source material and not giving any credit to the writers or the artists, because like the aesthetic of the show is exactly from a certain creative team. Right. They even took the promo posters and just ripped off the artist's comic book covers.
Yeah.
And it's bad.
Yeah.
And I've been extremely hesitant about it. But the fact that it is Christmas themed in a sense, I do me and Aubrey are gonna chip away at it. Jen just kind of knits while we do it, or sews while we do that. But
we'll probably watch it eventually. I've been binge watching Survivor.
Valerie, come on.
I've never watched it before.
Come on.
That's all I've been watching.
I've
That's
never
your
watched
jam, though?
Survivor. Chuck watched all of Hawkeye without me, so I'm a little salty, and now I
Really?
have to watch it.
There's only 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, it's like 3. That's
Yeah,
it.
but still, I'm too far behind now.
I mean, look, it's because of my job now and the amount of hours I've been working. I've been coming home. I swear to God, I've just been watching MasterChef Australia.
Oh, dude, we love MasterChef.
I've never watched a single food cooking show ever.
Don't
Not a single one.
It'll ruin your life.
Girl, I'm a 31-year-old married man. We watch every season of MasterChef and the Great British Bake Off. Yeah, Bake Off.
Never seen a one.
And this little weirdo loves them.
I've been watching a lot of Bar Rescue again lately. It's a terrible show, and I love it. I just love it.
We put it on I put it on Sundays because it's always on Spike TV on Sundays just to piss Jen off. Because she'll just wake up and kind of like walk out and he'll be like, "Shut it down!" Right? But no, I fucking love Bar Rescue. I love terrible reality TV. I can't do Survivor. If there's a gimmick to it or like a game to it, I can't watch it.
I just clean my house better when there's John Taffer in the background yelling that it's disgusting and I need to shut it down, and he wouldn't let people in. And I'm like,
"You're gonna kill somebody."
Standards.
We're talking about so many things in pop culture. Since we talked last, Brian is now in Washington. You're in DC now.
Yep, DC.
Washington, or Brian has relocated. Laura, you've been married now since last time we've talked, yes?
Yeah, I got married, and it's been a roller coaster. First year of marriage, we had the absolute worst luck. So I'm on the team. Don't get married, friends. You're gonna jinx yourself. I love my husband.
That just means that the second year is going to be the best year.
Yeah. That first 6 weeks, man, just like hit after hit of bad luck. My car's in the shop. They're not even gonna get it in until February. Like, just all kinds of stuff. Anything that could go wrong.
You got like a Tony Stark car or something? Like, what are you talking about?
Just with the like nobody can get parts in, so everything's so backed up.
Mm.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, because like even like when you go to do service, I mean, I don't know how it is where you guys are at, but like my last service was doing like North Carolina. They were like, dude, I was on like a 3-month waiting list
Yep.
because they only had like 1 or 2 people to do service at the place, and then COVID before that kind of shut everything down.
Right,
So
right.
They were only doing. You had to bring your car in the morning, and then like however many cars they got through that day. So it wasn't even a guarantee that you were going to get your car done. It was just you had to bring it in the morning, and then they would let you know like, hey, your car's being serviced now.
You put your car in a queue.
Yeah,
Ugh. Forget all that noise.
I know, it was crazy.
Ugh. Well, today we're talking about books. We're talking about books that we've read, not necessarily books that have come out in 2021, but that background looks absolutely terrible. That's just too much. We're talking about, isn't that a cool layout?
Alice.
Oh, buddy, I went and spent the Black Friday deal and got some new features on here.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that one better. Our favorite books of
Looks like you
2021.
could have copied this from PowerPoint.
You're right.
I thought you were gonna say, fuck you.
I still love you, Chris. Still love you.
Absolutely, but man, you got to pay an arm and a leg just to go live if it isn't anything other than like one person nowadays, man. It's
I
insane.
know, right?
It's insane. No, we're talking about our favorite books of 2021, not necessarily books that came out in 2021, just books that we have consumed in 2021. Before we get into our favorites, does anybody have any honorable mentions? Any books that were just like, God damn it, I need to talk about this, but I don't know if it's better than this one? Anybody have any of those?
I listened to The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, which is like a historical fiction set like in the era of the Great Depression, about like a mom who is raising her 2 kids by herself, and they travel to California to try to find jobs because there's no, like, their farm is dying, and it was so good, like so incredibly well written. I had read a book called The Nightingale by her, which was another historical fiction about 2 twin sisters during World War II. And it was just like, in the audiobook, like the narrator was awesome. So that always makes a big difference. But it was really good. It was definitely one of my top reads of the year.
Ooh. How about yourself, Brian? Anything worth it?
I mentioned this before, but you know, Alori had turned me on to that book, The Gracier.
Right. That was Alleri's choice of 2020.
Yes.
Yes, so it's not a current choice.
Full circle.
But since since she told me about it, I did read that book. Actually read it multiple times, and it's just very good. It's very good. I was very impressed by this book. And also, I would say the other recommendation that you for the Ice Cream Man. That was another. It's just been a very, very good series, and I'd rather enjoy it, and I hope they just keep printing them off the press.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'll once I pull it up, I'll bring it up. But first in the shoot, because I didn't go in any order at all. Valerie's choice.
Ah,
Let me see. Oh, hey, check it out. See?
yeah, look at that. Look,
I'm
there's
telling
Casey.
Boom. Valerie's choice for
Okay,
her
so
favorite
this
book of
is
2021.
a much different recommendation than last year. So it is a romance. And it was like, I chose this book because when I was done reading it, I felt like so happy that it circled all the way back around to sad, like because I had such a book hangover from it, like that it made me feel so many things that I was like, I can't emotionally handle this. It was the only book this year that I stayed up until like 4 a.m. reading, even though I had to work the next day, because I was like, I have to finish it. So basically, it is about Alex, who is the son of the president of the United States, who is a woman, by the way, which we love. And then his arch enemy, Henry, who is the Prince of England. Yeah. So they are like, they've run across each other a few times in the past, and Alex is always just like really like annoyed by Henry because he thinks he's like this like stuck up British, like what you would think of a royal, basically. And he attends Henry's like sister's wedding or something as like a show of like diplomacy, and ends up crashing into their cake in an argument with Henry. Classic. So in order to like save face, we have my favorite trope, the fake dating. So in this case, though, it's not fake dating, it's a fake friendship, because neither man is out. They're like 23, 24-ish. And so it's very much like this publicity stunt made to be like, no, they're fine. That was just an accident at the thing. They're actually really good friends. And then, of course, they fall in love. And it's so good, so well written, and really interesting to see them like behind the scenes, like trying to like tread all of these waters, like this can't get out type of thing. Definitely a not safe for work read. Not super smutty, but like there are some scenes that'll make you blush. But makes it all the better.
I'm kind of blushing right now.
It's really, so I read a similar book called Boyfriend Material with like the fake dating trope, and I was really like, it did not live up to this one because it's really difficult for me to explain, but like the chemistry that she wrote these characters with is incredible. Like you immediately feel a connection to them, and there's not something specific that I can pick out and be like, this is what she did. It's just like, because again, the other book was really well written, but I wasn't immediately hooked and immediately rooting for these two characters like I was for Alex and Henry. So that was the best book I read this year, probably the best book I read in a while, as far as like, okay, I have to stay up all night to binge read this book.
Good stuff. We've got a good friend, Nick Gardner. In order to live. Young Park. I'll look that one up. I'll look that one up for you. I don't want to get off topic at all, but Allery, you just brought that up. Or no, I'm sorry, Brian, you brought it up. Let's. I know Allery and I are fans of it. I think Laura's delved into it. This has leaked on Twitter that, guess what? We are going to finally get a deluxe hardcover of Ice Cream Man. It's going to be a hardcover. This is from the artist himself. It'll cover the first 12 issues with a heap of extra goodness, and it'll be in a blue foil, real shiny like.
I like how it says Sunday edition.
Sunday edition, and that's going to go right on the shelf. I've been holding on to the trades and the singles, wanting to bind my own copy, but I love when Image does these hardcovers and does them all real shiny, foily, like they do with a Saga and I Hate Fairyland and all that. I'm absolutely all for it.
I still just have all the trades for Saga.
I did. Well, I did, and then
now I'm gonna have to get the box set.
I saw that box set. I'm really into it. What else has Casey McQuiston wrote, Allery?
So Casey released another book this past year called One Last Stop, and it is a lesbian time travel romance. Like they meet like on this train, and they're like from two different timelines. I haven't read it yet, but I heard really good things. But it is currently sitting on my shelf. It's called One Last Stop. But this was Casey's debut novel.
Oh wow!
Like international bestseller, like did really, really well. So we're hoping for a movie.
I did my research last night, and I found her on Twitter, and I saw her tweet where she made the New York Times bestseller list, and this was her birthday, and this and that.
Yeah.
She seems young.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Yes. Yeah, she's. Let me look.
She is. And you had another book you wanted a webcomic to mention, but I couldn't find it.
She's 30.
She's 30?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, good on her.
Yeah. Yeah, so the webcomic, it's not through, like, you have to go to the actual web page. It's not like through Webtoon or anything. He has like his own. And it's called Long Exposure. So it's a high school aged. I binged the entire thing like in a day. Like I could not stop reading it. But basically is two high school age boys, and one comes back. He's been like, he had moved away, and he comes back, and he used to bully the other boy. And they get assigned to work on a project together, and they end up being accidentally exposed to, that's for the Kickstarter. They're releasing like a hardcover version of the entire series.
Absolutely. It filled 297% of its goal. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it is pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually how I found out about it, because I was like scrolling through Kickstarter, and it was on the like recommended for you thing. So I was like,
nice.
What is this? Like I read the description. But so they are exposed and get superpowers. Like when they stumble upon this like plant hidden in the like plant factory, not like plant as in a tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they stumble upon it, and then they get superpowers. So they're trying to figure out how to deal with that. And also this like tense relationship they have. But guess what? They fall in love. Guys, there was a theme to books that I read this year.
I see this.
Yeah, so Ride or Die is actually a new one that it's an ongoing one that he has right now, that I haven't started, but it's his ongoing series.
Okay.
So they are free to read. It's just like Webtoon, like you do like the updates or whatever. So you might get a full page, you might get a couple pages.
Let me ask you this, because I get ads in my doom scrolling on Facebook for Webtoons. I'm sure it's tailored to male and female. I see the Webtoons are nothing but like My Smutty Stepsister or something like that. I'm like, what is this? Yeah,
there are genres of everything. Like you can find anything on Webtoons. So the ones that I read, so they're nice. I usually try to read them before bed, because if it's an ongoing one, you can only get like periodic updates. Actually, so Heartstoppers that I talked about last year, like it was also originally a Webtoon, and it got so popular that they like printed it, and there's a Netflix series about to release.
I can see that.
Yeah. So there are like, if you do like, so Lore Olympus is like the most popular one ever, which is a romance, but it's about like Hades and Persephone. So it has these, it's like a modern day gods retelling, and I actually just bought the hardcover of it. But I'm I'm reading one called Bastard, which is about a boy whose dad is a serial killer.
Ooh.
And he knows that, and he's trying to like, he has his eye on one of his classmates that he likes, and so he's trying to like stop his dad from killing her. Sweet Home is one.
Like Dexter Gone Wild.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to find ones that aren't. Okay, I read Forest of Humans, which was about they take prisoners who have been sentenced to death, and after their sentencing, or like after their execution, they actually leave them alive and they take them to this place like in this remote part of the world or in the woods or something, and they're running these experiments on them. So that is what I was hoping that the whole thing would be about, like seeing these experiments and stuff. But it wasn't. It was like one day the power goes out, or like one day like the prisoners escape and they take over the facility. So they're all these murderers basically escape. So it was pretty good. But they have everything from just like little romance ones, little funny ones. There's this one I read called Safi the One-Eyed Cat that is just like a girl who makes comics about the cats that she owns, and like they're just these really cute little, very readable things. And then some of them are really dark. I'm reading another like murder mystery one, so you can find anything on there.
I'm with it. Like I said, I see nothing but smutty, like, she's my sister-in-law, what should I do?
There's plenty of that. That's what you're
Things
into.
Weird ads about like this girl's like, oh, he's the alpha of the pack. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I was like hiding ad. I was like, I don't want
just
this.
like anything else, just go and look for your genre. Like you can filter by genre.
Well, Allery, I have heard a lot of hype about this book. Every bookstore that I have walked into, I have seen this paint cover.
Yep.
But I hope, I'd be the other one you're talking about sounds great too. I wonder if they're like, oh, I'm a modern day, lesbian. Oh, I'm a lesbian back when, coming out was kind of a different thing. And like they kind of mesh and they find their own footing and this and that. I'd be interested to see how that one goes.
Yeah, I'll let you know after I've read it.
Wasn't there a movie that was done not long ago? I should say not long ago, but like maybe over the past year or 2 years about like, I can't remember if it was like the 1950s or something like that, but it was about like this. It was like a mixed racial lesbian, like these women that fell in love with each other or something like that. I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but I could see the preview, and it was supposed to be like a really strong story about like all these things that were like against all odds, white person falling in love with a black person during that time, and then the fact that they were both lesbians, was just another thing that wasn't even discussed. And
spoiler alert, that's actually what you're about to watch. That's Dune.
Oh really?
No.
I know nothing about Dune, so I was like, oh, okay.
Right. I was like,
I mean, when you really
I am more interested in Dune now.
When you dissect
fire
Dune,
it up.
Yeah.
When you dissect Dune down to like its bare essentials, it is just a movie about a bunch of drug addicts.
Plot twist: Timothée Chalamet plays the lesbian.
These people that just cannot stay away from the spice, and all they want to do is get to the spice. And then in the end, it just doesn't turn out well.
You're not wrong, bud.
I saw a really funny TikTok of a guy like, I'm going to see Dune, decided to cosplay as the Dune, and he's like a bigger guy, so he's just wearing a sandy colored shirt. And he's like, so I'll let you know how it goes.
Oh God. Well, Allery's choice, her favorite read of 2021 was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey.
If you want to feel good, like just really in your feels read, this is the one. I loved it so much.
This is the one. All right, moving along to Laura. Laura, her choice. Boom and bang. There we are.
Full disclosure, I 100% bought this book based on the cover art.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, I didn't look at the back or anything. I walked into Little Professor Bookstore because that's what I do now is I go to the bookstore on my 15-minute break and spend money that I shouldn't. Filled out my punch card for the year, so
here it is.
What's that?
Little Professor has a punch card where, like, for every $10 you spend, you get a punch, and then once your card's full, you get 10% off every book that you buy for the rest of the year.
Oh, bro, I can fill that up in one
one day.
I
didn't know. Allery said, "Let's go."
Challenge accepted. I'll see you January 1st.
Yep. But it's such a good deal. So yeah, We Are All the Same in the Dark. It's a like thriller suspense. Normally not my style of book that I read. But it was really good. I liked it because it had a lot of like unexpected twists. I went into it the first like beginning couple of chapters. I was like, all right, this is gonna be your standard like missing girl whodunit kind of novel, but it turned out not to be that way. The main character goes missing halfway through the book, which really like I was like, whoa, now where
does it change POV then?
Yes.
Or like okay.
Yep. She just like completely find out later she just didn't make it at all. But they like halfway through they change it completely and we're like 5 years later for the rest of the book. And it's really interesting in the way that it's written. So like this girl goes missing, or this girl gets found, this 12-year-old girl gets found by kind of an outcast in the community, and he's really drawn to her. And this lady cop, she is looking into it, and it's really reminiscent of a girl, like the cop's friend who went missing years ago, and she thinks that the two girls are tied together, so she starts investigating, and then she goes missing after spending time with this girl. We love a James Patterson novel, Daryl.
I love the James Patterson Witch and Wizard series.
He's on, like, he helps with everything. I just read a book recently that he collaborated on that my grandma recommended me. Okay.
I saw a TikTok from a bookseller or like someone working in publishing, and they were like thinking I'm going to have an easy year because of COVID, like the, recession and whatnot. Mm. And they're like, fucking James Patterson writes 400 books this year. They have him on the company. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, I saw like a video where a girl worked at a library and was like trying to pull out everything that James Patterson had like worked on, whether it was like his book or he helped with the book. And
he has a whole company now, like James Patterson Presents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. So
So it's reminiscent of a girl he knew, or is like a previous case?
A previous case.
Okay. Gotcha.
She knew. Cop's a woman.
Wow, Chris. In 2021.
I'm looking forward to it.
I said lady cop, okay? But no, and like the police officer, her dad was the cop at the time of the previous case. And she had moved away, and like she became a cop and was drawn back when her dad died. And so like it's one of those stories where like all of these different unsolved mysteries, I guess, are kind of connecting and falling into place. And then the cop goes missing. And that girl that they found at the beginning of the book had spent a lot of time with the cop, like growing up as they were solving mysteries. And she later comes back when Odette, the main character at the first half of the book, goes missing. She comes back to try and solve that murder as well. So it's just like an interesting dynamic. And I don't really remember ever reading a book before where like the main character's point of view like just drops halfway.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Remind me of this in like 6 months when I've forgotten this explanation and tell me to read it.
Yes. So
her with her multicolored bangs.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I've never read anything else by this author. It was a total whim of buying it. I didn't really know anything about it.
But it paid off.
Yeah, I love when that works out. Honestly, between the cover and the title, I would have taken like a shot on that book too.
I know. The cover is just beautiful. The title, I was like, ooh, I need to, like, I walked in, I got coffee at Court Street Coffee, walked into the bookstore, and it was like right on their first display. And I was like, that's for me. And then I picked up some Strange Planet comics and postcards. And I was like, all right, I'm good.
Nice.
I love me some Strange Planet.
Strange Planet.
They're just the cute little like one-off comics with the
Oh, the
aliens
little
trying to eat
alien,
people.
little alien
Yeah.
character. Yeah,
I got a book of postcards that are just phenomenally adorable. So
Those are really cute. Those are the ones where they're like explaining everyday things and like
yes, I
Okay,
just think
yeah.
they're super cute. So and Little Professor Bookstore got a whole bunch of them in.
Very nice, very nice. Well, Laura, she took a leap of faith and it paid off, and it ended up being one of her favorite books of the year. We Are All the Same in the Dark by Julia Heberlin. Heberlin?
Sure.
She's not watching. Okay.
She popped up and she's not like actually.
She's not
Swagger.
watching.
Yeah. Watch her start chatting now.
So we've got Allari's choice for secretive gay love in the UK. Laura's choice for reminiscent disturbing memories that come full circle.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, you read the book. Not me. And to my man Brian, go ahead and explain this one because I am interested. We're gonna go.
So
There we are.
This I didn't even know this book and manga and live action existed.
Same.
It just happened to be something I fell upon. I was searching for like a different comic series while I was searching for some newer anime that was going to come out, and this popped up, and I was like, what the heck is this? So apparently, this had like run originally in like the 1970s.
Yes, I did see that. It was pretty old. I could tell by the art style when I was looking it up last night.
And then it was this was just reprinted all into one. So it's like 3 volumes in one book.
Nice.
And so it is pronounced moo, and like the cow, or like the sound the cow makes. And so basically, MW, the title reference is this poisonous gas that was stored on a Japanese island by a certain nation X to inflict mass casualties in Vietnam and Laos. And it leaked and wiped out almost the entire population of the island. Only 2 people escaped. And then you have this young boy named Michio Yuki, that is like, was affected, but like became like mad. Oh, and can like morph into like, can change into women.
Is this a result of this gas?
It's a result of this gas.
Okay.
So it is it's crazy. So after years, the government covers up this whole thing. It killed all the residents. They repopulated. So like, take Vietnam and Laos, and so like they kind of like set this back into an island that is off the coast of Okinawa.
Okay.
And so basically, Yuki is now going after or seeking vengeance against the people that like let this gas go and kill all these people.
So is he going like, hey, these people are responsible.
Yes.
I'm going to go become a very sexy lady and seek my revenge?
So only when he kills women can he transform, or can he transform into them. And
he's got to kill them first.
So like he takes that woman's identity, like he turns into that woman.
Yes, he can.
Okay.
He can. Doesn't always do it, but he more than not. If it leads to him getting to the next step, he'll do it. And he like ends up turning to like religion, to kind of like solve this thing. But then he has like this homosexual relationship with this other guy. And this is the 70s.
Does this happen as a man, or once he has
this happens as a man? This happens as a man. So it's just this relationship to this priest, because he's actually searching out this priest to like get him to tell him like, hey, it's okay what you're doing, almost like, like a Dexter-esque type of way, but like the priest is like, no, this is not okay, and like
he's
probably
searching
need
for
to.
justification, but
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly,
nah.
exactly, and it just goes the story. It gets pretty crazy, but it is a very good book. It is a very good book, and it talks
So did
about a
you watch the
lot.
live action?
I did not. I didn't even know that the live action existed. I saw that the book, or I saw that this was a reprint. I thought this was like something that was new that came out. I had no idea that it was even something that was already ran and televised and serialized and all this other stuff beforehand. So when I got it, I just read it as is, and then like I kind of like did the research afterwards, and I was like, oh wow, like this has been like under my nose the whole time. But there's so much anime that is like that is just out there that like if it's not part of the mainstream,
Yeah,
you just don't even know about it.
it's
But it was
overwhelming to try to keep up with anime.
it's impossible. It's impossible. I mean, you go into any anime store like Lawson or the big like book markets that are in Japan, and like the only thing, I mean, other than like being overwhelmed with hentai, which is like
I'm familiar.
which takes up like 3/4 of the bookstore.
Yeah.
To get to like the really good stuff, like stuff that you would want to see on TV or whatever it is, or like the normal anime series that we all know and love. You know what I mean? Like One Piece or Bleach or anything, any series you can possibly imagine. Like they're all in like the back of the bookstore, which is like crazy to me. It should be the other way around. But yeah, like this thing just like was under, and then so now I'm on this new mission to like start uncovering, these other books that are around or by authors that are no longer living anymore, and see what things I can find. But
Did
yeah,
it, as you were reading it, did it like feel dated? Like, was it cringy in any way? Because I know like watching things now, like there are times that I'll watch something that I loved like as a teenager or something now, and I'm like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable.
The thing is like, yes, this does have that type in there, but so when I read it, I think about when I got like halfway through it, I was like, oh man, this is just like, what am I even reading this for? And then I kind of like put it away for like a day or so and kind of like thought about it, and then I kind of shed it. I transmorphed it into like, okay, what is, if I was reading this and trying to apply today's issues with it, then it started reading a lot easier, because then I was like, okay, well now I can see the relation and I can see the understanding in these types of things, and it actually made the book a lot more enjoyable. Okay. So it was more my frame of reference than it was the book. I think the book is fine the way it is. It's just I needed to read it with a different intention than just being like, oh, this is just a great book, I'm just going to read it. You know what I mean? Because it did come from a different time and era that most of us weren't even born in.
Right.
So obviously this book has transcended the tale of time, because it still works.
Yes,
it still works. The book I'm certain that when the book came out, it was probably hey, people who were reading it are people who are local to the area, and like they were getting like, hey, this gas is a bad thing, let's go ahead and seek revenge. Yes, they tie in, they attach to that, and now that times are changing and different perspectives, it still holds the test of time, because you can just read it from so many different
Well, the book was actually created because it was a counter to the author Tezuka response to the Gekiga, which in Japanese means like dramatic pictures. So there's a lot of those artists back in the 60s and 70s, and this was Tezuka's attempt to like offset that, to make it more like gritty and adult oriented, and like a different contrast to like these softer tones that were being exuded at that time. He just wanted this. I mean, and this thing is just crazy. I mean, the dude's like a homicidal maniac. He always sets up. He always kidnaps, and then he asks for a ransom. And then once the ransom is paid, he kills the person that was involved in the ransom and the person that he kidnapped.
All right, man. I'd give it a read.
But
it did his style of art gave me, as soon as I saw it gave me a oh damn it, Brian, give me the guy who created Akira. You know it off the top of your head. I know you do.
I'm
Otomo.
Yes.
Okay.
And yes, that it reminded me of Dormu. It reminded me of Akira. It definitely reminded me of almost like what is that? The Spiral.
Uzumaki, yeah.
Uzumaki, yes, that's what I was going to say. So it reminded me of like sort of like that art style, I guess you would say. Although Spiral is a little bit more deeper art, but it does have that characteristic of it. So I was definitely pleased. I'm glad I found this thing, and like I said, I have to go into detective mode and start pulling up some other stuff.
Pull out those hidden gems.
I know.
Absolutely. Brian's choice, his favorite read of 2021 is Moo. MW. No O.
No, just MW.
I will try to get through mine so we can keep it at a reasonable time. I did bite my tongue and I didn't freaking say. I do, in fact, have an honorable mention that almost made the list. The Silver Coin, Volume 1. So we were talking earlier about Ice Cream Man. I love those anthologies. It's Up with Space Cowboys is one of my favorite kind of stories to take in, really, because I love horror. I love those anthologies, and it's always that good, awesome, super cool feeling for those devout readers who find those connections in these stories that aren't connected. You know what I mean? And this one, The Silver Coin, done by Matt Walsh, Chip Zdarsky, Josh Williamson, Ed Brisson, Jeff Lemire, Kelly Thompson. It was originally just a 5-issue thing that he was doing, and the amount of people buying this book absolutely floored them and Image. And he's like, hey, we've got plenty of cool, more spooky stories to tell. We're going to keep going. It is now an ongoing series. So this is only volume 1. You can pick this up on Amazon, your local bookstore, wherever you get your books at. Comixology.
I like that they felt ready, because a lot of times, like, I feel like there have been so many things that started out great, and then because they were so successful, they're like, oh, we got to drag this out, and then it like really takes a turn. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or they start treating it as it's like for profit, so they
Right.
just, like,
Exactly.
they don't care about the story anymore. They're just like, we'll just keep churning out these until
Yeah.
they don't sell anymore, and then we'll ditch it.
You're absolutely right. But I'm tell you here, the story of The Silver Coin, it's told in a perfect anthology manner, almost Quentin Tarantino-esque. Let's give you a little bit, throw it back to you halfway, and then twist you up in the middle. 5 issues of it so far in this first trade. First issue, it's all rotates about the silver coin, right?
Is this like a bird skeleton?
That is a bird. It's like a crow skeleton with
Okay.
that coin that has an eyeball on it. First story was like, hey, it's these punk rockers in the UK that want to make it big. Screw you guys. I care about money and this and that. I'm going to screw over the band, and they want to go disco because disco's hot. I'm staying rock and roll. Dude happens to stumble upon the silver coin. He plays like fucking, he's the best guitarist in the world and all this and this, but big twist in it, he's playing the guitar with this coin that gives him imbues these powers. Long story short, everyone's enticed by it and can't move and just loves the music, and he's playing this guitar, and it's just his skin starts to rip off and his fingers go to hell, and hell itself comes up into the club and it starts to destroy and burn and kill everybody, but they can't. The music's so enticing they can't even feel it, And second story is that awesome 80s summer camp slasher story where the coin comes back. So we're going from the 70s.
So they one shots? Oh, you said it's an anthology.
It's an
Okay,
anthology.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love an anthology.
So how does this? So how's the coin traversing time?
Here we go. And here's where it comes for you to be the devout reader and look for it. So your second story has no relation with it, and you're reading into it. This girl's get the typical 80s movies where that one kid's at summer camp and all the teenagers are like borderline criminals in today's day and age. They're just absolutely the worst fucking kids you've ever seen. Like, oh, what's the matter? Your mom died of cancer. You know, like
What a
terrible.
loser.
Yeah. Terrible pieces of shit. Of course, she finds the coin. She becomes a crazy slasher serial killer. Insanity. Okay, cool. Third issue comes on. You're like, all right, so these are just standalone stories. This group of people go and rob this old man who's loaded. They find that he is they accidentally shoot him during this home invasion. You look up on his mantle, you see that he's a retired firefighter, i.e., he was the same firefighter that found the coin from the first issue, who came in and put the flames out at the club. Craziness happens. They try to get away. The cops pursue. They shoot out the tires. This woman takes the coin. She turns into a crazy, grotesque looking spirit / specter as she's running from the cops in the woods, and she finds the originator of the coin, followed by all the other people who have come in contact with the coin.
Oh boy.
Crazy cool stuff. And then they give you another issue. It's a futuristic cyberpunky one. And the 5th issue, you get the origin of the coin. You get that Ice Cream Man, Ricardus kind of moment. Super cool, and I couldn't be more excited that they're continuing with it.
I'm gonna add it to my pull list right now.
That sounds up my alley.
I love Ice Cream Man, and it's just like the saga to me. No matter when and where it comes out, it's always the first issue I read. But I'm here to tell you, this year, all these issues came out in 2021. It's been better every issue, other than the cyberpunky one was kind of off, and it was kind of weird because the biggest writer was on that one. Jeff Lemire did the cyberpunk one. That was the weaker of the 5 issues, but consistently the Silver Coin has really taken over the anthology. Is taken the top spot for anthology horror when it comes to that.
I just like that this thing just keeps like they tied it to like a piece, like a physical thing. It's not like a person. It's not this.
Well, again, I don't want to give you too much, and I've told you the main hit points on a lot of these, but like, hey, and they lay out stories for the rest of it. Nice. You see that in one story, this boy is looking for this coin, and the father's there, and he's like, where's mom's old coin? He's like, it's in the attic. Don't you touch it. It's like, if your mother was still here, I'm like, oh shit. Well, there's your story right there. What happened to mom? Mom used the coin. Like, fuck. Like, good stuff. Absolutely love it. And honestly, some of the best writers who are just, Twitter friends and artists, they're all coming together and collaborating on this because they all got that spooky one spot story. And I was listening to a podcast. They're like, hey man, I'm not giving these guys story. I'm just saying, hey, here's how this coin originated. And here's what's happened before. Play with it, they've hit it out of the park every time. And it's my favorite anthology. It's definitely one of the first books that when I get my pile every month, it's one of the first ones I read. I absolutely love it.
Well, it's good that they have that type of freedom, because then as long as they don't have a direction, then they're just free to come up with a story that goes somewhere, and somehow, because it's about the coin, it's going to tie back to that.
Absolutely. And my actual choice for my favorite book I've read, it is a series that has come out. It is not new. It is the Reckless series from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. If you're familiar with the name, Ed Brubaker created Captain America: The Winter Soldier. He has done the groundbreaking crime noir series Criminal. That's now finally been collected in 3 of these gigantic deluxe hardcovers that came out this year. Love them. Last year, him and Sean Phillips won an Eisner for Pulp, the old cowboy that the world was changing around him and ends tragically. But he sprung these 3 volumes on us without any notice. He said, hey guys, I'm doing a new book. It's called Reckless. Here it is. And every volume, they don't even announce it until the week before it comes out. They don't even give it to the retailers. But it's that 80s, that 70s, that 80s, like old school, like Richard Stark, like Parker kind of series. Like, hey, you've got a problem, I've got a phone number for you, and it's going to lead to Ethan.
Yeah, it reminds me of like almost like a Grindhouse series.
Absolutely, you can tell right from the covers. But it gives you, hey, this is Ethan Reckless. Your trouble, it's his business. And he'll do it. He has lived a crazy life. You see his best friend there, the young girl with purple hair. They own a movie theater, an old school movie theater, and they just love cinema. So they just live in a movie theater. They go and money they get, they just pay the rent, get food, and find old films. And that's their go-to. And that really called to me. But this pushes crime fiction, and it's got these are all those standalone movies that always have that big twist at the end. That whole cat and mouse chase, and it feels really real, really grounded. I love these books because I've read everything. I've almost read everything from these guys. I love everything they do. And Sean Phillips, the artist, now his son is the colorist on all of them. So it's a big family thing. And I love these books because they've all come out during, the COVID era and this and that. So they do nice things. They go ahead and do little prints in all of them and sign every copy for you. I've got every single book. They did a little card, signed them for you, gave them the book.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's so good. But yeah, I can just some of the names that are on the back of this, just praising the book. Hey, you've got Patton Oswalt, you've got Joe Hill, you've got Stephen King, Damon Lindelof. If you like those, and I'm sure it's just me, I love that crime story. They've announced the new one is coming out. That is the Ghost in You. That'll be out here in March. And if you look just to the right of it, there is the man himself, Sebastian Stan, tweeting on Friday, him reading Reckless and that little question face. If I sure there's some kind of relationship between him and Ed Brubaker, being the creator of Winter Soldier, the same role in which Sebastian Stan helms. I would love to see this in the movie. And I would love to see this, like Brian said, in that grimy, grindhouse kind of style film. I could totally be with that, but this one was totally my niche. Like I said, it hits like those, like I said, those Richard Stark Parker books. It hits like those Steve McQueen movies. Super cool stuff. And I don't ever, like I told you, I get my books every month. I flip through all my books and I put those ones I want to read always on the top. But there's always be that one girthy hardcover in there, and I'll always do it, and I'll ignore my wife and child for that hour or two. But no, I love everything these guys have written. They haven't missed. I think wholeheartedly, I think they're one of the greatest collaborating teams in comics for our generation because they haven't missed. They did like The Criminal. They did what else? They did Cruel Summer. They said All My Heroes Are Junkies. They did Bad Weekend. All these books, and they're just awesome fucking people. And I love the books, and I can't. And I told you that his son was the colorist for these books, and it's gotten so big that now his son has branched off and done his own series. That Texas Blood, and this one, of course, I have a bag on it. This one is selling out every print it comes out. It's going into a second print every month, and he's got that same style to it, and super awesome book. I really wanted to put Something Is Killing the Children on there. Now they're kind of going into into those backstories.
I'm so far behind.
They're going into the origin of Something Is Killing the Children. Of course, being the noir crime junkie I am, The Good Asian almost made it for me too. just about how terrible, in the 60s and 70s, the Asian culture was treated, and now trying to be a private investigator yourself as an Asian man in the 60s
Right.
in Los Angeles. That was extremely good as well. But give me more Reckless. Give me anything Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker make, and I'll never complain about seeing Sebastian Stan's handsome ass in front of my TV screen.
100%.
So that was my favorite reads of the year. All three of them. They all.
Laura will complain though if you are 6 inches from the camera.
I know.
No close-ups.
I'm trying to get back here now and just like morph into this chair. But there it is. Next week, do we want to go television or do we want to go movies? Do we want to go big screen, small screen? What do we want to do first?
I'm good with whatever.
Or is there something that we still need to watch? I think I want to go TV series because there's a movie out that's getting awesome reviews. I really, really, really want to watch. Licorice Pizza. I want to watch that before we do movies.
I haven't even heard of that.
It has Elena Haim in it from the band Haim.
Okay.
It is like kind of like a coming of age tale that comes out on Christmas apparently.
I think that was right there enough to spark me and Allerie's interest.
Yeah.
Right. It's a Paul Thomas Anderson movie as well, but I definitely want to watch that. And there's something else I need to watch really bad. I posted about it. I don't want to keep rambling on. I saw Ghostbusters and loved it. Anybody watch Ghostbusters?
Did you love it?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many movies I still haven't seen. Like I still haven't seen.
That was the first time I've been to the theater since COVID. The first
Really?
time I've been to since the theater. Yeah, I took my nephew and I took Aubrey, and I tell you what, the last 10 minutes of that movie, I had a 9 and a 13-year-old. I'm over here trying not to show them that I'm fucking crying. Fucking waterworks at the end of that movie if you're a Ghostbusters fan. Paul Rudd's amazing in it. He's hilarious in everything he's in. The little girl, Mackenzie Grace, she's got the curly hair and the glasses like Egon in the old animated cartoon. She's phenomenal in it. Finn Wolfhard, he's getting too old for me. He's starting to look awkward.
Starting to.
He's no, but the movie was great, and I cried like a child at the very end of it because it was beautiful.
By that point, we could also discuss Spider-Man. So
exactly, that's the I guess I'm lucky. I like a quarter mile from the house. There's an IMAX, so we're gonna go see that. It comes up the 17th.
Yeah.
Okay, I start leave on the 18th. That's perfect. So I'll take Aubrey and we'll go see that one at midnight or 8 o'clock or whatever that one comes out.
Yeah.
Let's do TV. We'll do television. Let's set our parameters though. Television we will include limited series. Do we count documentaries as movies or television series?
I would say it depends on whether it's a docu-series or a documentary.
Yeah.
Well, it's regardless. I already told you that I loved the Beatles, and that was like 3 episodes. They're like 2.5 hours apiece. So go watch Beatles. Get Out. It was really good. If you've got like a fucking day to watch it.
Yeah. A whole entire work day.
It was long, but man, it was beautiful. Peter Jackson he's never really shit on anything.
Yeah.
No, let's do television series. You guys got any previews? Anything to tease the one person watching?
I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, but 2021 has been such a blur that I don't remember what I've watched. I've read. Like I have gone back and watched movies and I'm like, where was I for this? Because this is not what I remember. So
there was a series that I saw. Could not tell you the name of it. It was from like I don't know if it was from Switzerland or I can't even remember, but it was a very was a very good series. It was about about a detective. I can't even. I know I saw it on Netflix, but because the name is in Swedish, I can't find it. So like I'm like parsing Google and trying to trick it into find this.
You
movie.
said detective. I'm already halfway there.
The series was so good, so good. It's about these girls that end up being killed from there's just like these random deaths going on. This person or this female and this other guy are like investigating. Ends up being like this really dark thing that goes on. I'm being very vague for a reason.
It's like listening to my wife describe something. Like there's the thing, and there's like two guys. Two guys. I'm like, okay, two guys, yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to find this thing before next week, and I will let you guys know.
Well, I'm here to tell you, so there's no double dipping. I am torn right now between Mayor of Easttown, because I loved it, and Midnight Gospel. I don't know if you. I know some of you watched Mayor of Easttown.
Yes.
Okay, Laura, you watched it as well, yes?
I started to watch it, but I haven't gotten very far with it yet.
Okay.
No, I watched the whole thing in like a day, and then I texted my parents and I was like, watch this, and they're like 7 hours later, they're like, done. They loved it. There's a new show with I can't think of who's in it right now. But it keeps confusing me so much because it's on Paramount Plus, and it's called Mayor of Kingstown. And I was like, that's too similar of a title, but it's Mayor like Mayor. But I'm still like, do you know, I can just imagine the conversations between two moms that are like, you gotta watch Mayor of Easttown, and then they watch Mayor of Kingstown. And like,
or you could be like my mom and watch Major of Easttown.
Mom's coming in clutch for the punchline.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm torn between the two, but of course, like Laura said, I've got to go back and look at what the fuck I've actually watched this year.
I had to go through my Goodreads to be like, okay, when did I read this? So yeah. I need to do something similar for TV shows because I feel like I've watched a lot and also nothing at the same time.
It seems like I could have everything I've watched could have been, you can narrow it down to a year, but for now, it seems like it could have been the last 2 years. I couldn't tell you anymore. Oh, wait, never mind. Watch it. Major of Kingstown. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, ladies, my main man, Brian, it was good to see you guys. I am excited to talk again next week. I'm glad that I'm back on a schedule.
Please don't forget Lou.
Oh, Lou, what's up?
Came out to play, but he just laid down.
Hey, look what he did making biscuits. Like, I am covered in red marks.
I saw him over there. You were just
said making biscuits.
Yeah, he's a little factory worker making biscuits.
You're so lucky that you have cats that want to just sit on you. Like, my cats give a fuck less if I'm alive.
I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because some days I'm just like, oh,
there's a tipping point where you're like, oh my God.
Like, I can't say his name or make eye contact or he's coming over.
Damn.
You want me?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do television next week. The following week we'll do our favorite movies. The following Saturday is Christmas. We'll see what everyone's plans looks like the day after Christmas, and then we'll jump on here, and now that the holiday season's over, we will shit on what we hated in 2021.
I'm ready. I read some terrible books this year. Like 3 in a row. I was like, I'm gonna stop reading.
We'll go ahead and we'll do that episode, and we'll hit it book, TV, movie, go in a clean swipe, all the 4 of us. But as always, it's good seeing you guys. Say again.
It's gonna be a big day.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. As always, guys. Glad to see you. Glad to see you're doing well. Allery's doing better than the rest of us. She has a cat.
Right.
A cat for half of it. Who just is
I thought that was the dog.
I heard the devil dog before, and she muted like really quickly.
Yeah, I just got them all, man.
Very nice. But hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week.
Me too.
I gotta go to the field. I got a class graduating this week, so I'm getting them the hell out of here. So I can enjoy my holiday break as well. But I will see you all next week.
Yep.
Take care.
You guys have an awesome week.
Love you guys. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.